Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is your brother Hawayala. I want to give all glory and praises to our Heavenly Father Yahweh, and we do so in the name of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. Grace and mercy be abound to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth that are waiting on the second coming of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. You see in the title, hey, Shalom, Shalom. As you see in the title, the truth about Valentine's Day, what's love got to do with it? Okay. That's actually a play on an old song from the early 80s by Tina Turner. Timmy Turner. I was playing. Yeah, but by Tina Turner. She had a song called What's Love Got to Do With It? That was like a #1 smash hit. You know, a lot of people kind of listened to that song back in the day when they were dealing with heartbreak. You know, and so they referenced that song. You know, a lot of those songs from back in the day were more what you would call sentimental or had some kind of a meaning. But nowadays, you know, a lot of stuff that's being promoted is not, you know, maybe as sentimental as in time past. Now, in regards from a biblical standpoint, you know, a lot of people have now merged over the years, and you know, this new concept of what they think love is. Okay, and it's really based off of a westernized concept or romanticized concepts of love. Okay, and that's one of the big problems that is going on, and this is the reason why a lot of the issues that are found within, you know, not only the world but particularly you know, amongst the people of Israel, wherever they're scattered, and particularly, you know, in Israelite groups, churches, whatever, is because of the misunderstanding of this. And mind you, that love is something that has to be even understood from a covenant perspective. And that's probably really one of the big problems that we're having in this time, you know? So we, you know, the misunderstanding of love is actually being weaponized to promote evil or allow evil. It's a very deceptive term. Okay. Now, of course, on this day, February 14th, 2026, this falls on what's known as a holiday. Now, it's not a federalized holiday, but it's a globally recognized holiday. If you look at a lot of places around the world, especially areas where there's westernized influences, this is a big day. It's a big business. If right now you wanted to go to certain restaurants and you wanted to go eat just to have a regular meal and you forget what day it is, you're probably going to be surprised about either the wait time or the lack of seats tonight. Okay. And that's one of the things that's very weird about, you know, getting into the faith and taking away, you know, the practices that we had, you know, prior, is we sometimes get caught off guard on, you know, what holiday is coming up, and then we're going about our regular day life, and then we get kind of, you know, struck with the reality that we're not really in a place that upholds, you know, righteousness, upholds the laws of the Lord, upholds the feast days and things like that. Okay. Let me actually pull up, if I can, And bear with me, I have to like add the tab. Okay. And let's see if we could find. There's actually like a few precepts. We're not going to go into a long thing about love. We'll actually probably do a love series. I have like a love series that I was actually planning because we have to get that subject squared away, and maybe this will be kind of a stepping stone towards such a lesson. Now, let's see here. Well, we'll just do this. This is a concept, one of the concepts of love as well. Let me go ahead and add this. Share screen. And y'all should see the tab where it's showing uh, Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 37. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt. Okay. So the Most High, because of his relationship with our forefathers, particularly Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you can also say the patriarchs, the sons after Jacob, he therefore chose their seed after them. So that's the reason why the Most High was obligated to save the children of Israel out of Egypt. Okay, because of that relationship that he had with their fathers. This is also cuts even the understanding that these people have about other nations being saved, when the Most High is clearly having a strong preference for a group of people because of his relationship with other people. Okay, the forefathers, the patriarchs. Okay, to drive out nations from before thee, greater and mightier than thou art, to bring thee in, to give thee their land for an inheritance as it is this day. Okay, so the Most High did this out of love. Okay, this is one component of love. There's no romance here. There's no, roses and boxes of chocolate and teddy bears and pink and red clothing involved in this. This is an action. Okay, so as people have a hard understanding of love, love is just thrown around so loosely, but love actually has an action around it. It's not just simply an emotion. Okay. Um, Even in the lyric of Tina Turner's song, she talks about the emotions of love, which is, and it's funny when you think about how people view love in today's time. Okay. Um, she called it a secondhand emotion. Okay. Love has to have a component of a level of integrity. The emotion of love has integrity in it, right? Because there's no way that one can love. If someone is loving somebody, they also can't hate that person at the same time. Love has to then be removed for hate to happen. Okay. Um, and this is what people don't understand about the emotion in and of itself. Okay. Love doesn't mean that one doesn't discipline. Okay. If you love your child and your child is out of hand, you then discipline that child out of love, right? Because you desire for that child to be better. Okay. So love is not you saying let them do what they please, which is like a lot of, single parents, especially single mothers do, where love to them is doing everything that's in the comfort of that child's emotions. Okay. That's incorrect. Same thing with relationships. Okay. When it comes to these relationships that are going on right now that people call love. Okay. Very performative. Many times it's more performative than anything, and it doesn't have the actual true emotion behind it. Okay. It's more for show. Now, let's see if we can. Now, if you see in the thumbnail, actually, oddly enough, the thumbnail that I had, I don't even know if I actually be able to add it. Might be able to put it in the banner, but let me see if I could pull up the image. No, I won't be able to. I could put it in the background, but it's not going to be worth it. But you see in the thumbnail, the relationship between Cardi B, Stephon Diggs, the football player, and Offset, the rapper. How they were quote unquote married and then, or together, married and then, of course, separated. During that time, she gets to Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs has all these other relationships. And then they are allegedly have broken up. Now, why am I bringing that up? Because one of the things that's happening is that we actually believe that a lot of our people, especially the younger generation, believes that marriage or love is what they're seeing on TV and social media. Okay, and that's a big problem. Now, let me see if I can pull up. We're going to do the truth about Valentine's Day, and then we're going to kind of segue into more of these topics. I have different videos, many videos that I've seen over the months, but I'm just going to pick a few of them and we'll kind of go over them. We'll go over what is a proper perspective and how to look at things from a biblical level. Now, we go into this, as you see here, this is from Wikipedia, and just for a short summary, Valentine's Day, and we'll give you the origin of it, the truth about it. Now, it says Valentine's Day, also called Saint Valentine's Day or the Feast of Saint Valentine, is celebrated annually on February 14th. It originated as a Christian feast day honoring a martyr named Valentine, and through folk traditions, it has also become a significant cultural, religious, and commercial celebration of romance, commitment, and love in many regions of the world. And you go to India, and it's celebrated. Go to China, they're celebrating it. Okay, and the incentive behind businesses to celebrate it or to commercialize it, restaurants, different, boutiques and things like that, there's money behind it. So one thing that a lot of people understand about idolatry and idolatrous holidays, there's money behind it. There's money to be made off of it. So a lot of businesses thrive off of the idolatry of the masses. Okay, the masses believing in a particular holiday becomes an advantage for the business sector. If you go on different websites or different stores, if you walk into like a grocery store, a big grocery store, when you walk in, they're gonna have a section that's gonna present whatever holiday is coming up, and you will see that section. There's one particular place I go to, HEB here in Texas. When I walk in through the entrance, on both sides, it doesn't matter which side you walk in on, because on the right side, if you walk in that entrance, you're going to see like different baked goods and things like that. You're going to see like the flowers. You're going to see all that whole section for Valentine's Day. And then if you walk in through the left side, you're going to see where the candy's at. So all the candies, the little teddy bears and things like that. So they play upon the emotions of the masses. And remember that these are things that you picked up as a kid. Okay. And these are expectations that are now set into your relationship with whoever you're with, particularly with women. Because remember, these a lot of these holidays are angled really for women. And there's a reason why they're angled for women, and women are the biggest promoters of these holidays and they become the gift receivers of many of these holidays. The expectation from the man is that he's going to have to somehow honor her through celebrating these particular things. When you read about this feast day, this idolatrous feast day known as the Feast of Saint Valentine, it had nothing with just focusing strictly on women. Okay, so when you go into the story, and we'll get into that, into the particular man who Saint Valentine is. It says there are a number of martyrdom stories associated with various Saint Valentine connections to February 14th, including an account of the imprisonment of Saint Valentine of Rome for ministering to Christians persecuted under the Roman Empire in the 3rd century. Remember that, the 3rd century. According to an early tradition, Saint Valentine restored sight to the blind daughter of his jailer. Numerous later additions to the legend have been related to the theme of love. Tradition maintains that Saint Valentine performed weddings for Christian soldiers who were forbidden to marry by the Roman emperor. Okay, at an 18th century embellishment to the legend claims he wrote the jailer's daughter a letter signed "Your Valentine" as farewell before his execution. This is where this whole "Will you be my Valentine?" Okay, Valentine's Day is about the man giving the card. This is where the letter and the card comes into play, right? Now, mind you, this is a 18th century embellishment. Remember, this man was around, according to them, in the 3rd century. Now, we're going to click on Valentine of Rome. Okay. And as you see here, Valentine of Rome, or Saint Valentine, was a 3rd century Roman saint, okay, commemorated in Western Christianity in February 14th and Eastern Orthodoxy on July the 6th. Okay. From the High Middle Ages, his feast day had been associated with the tradition of courtly love. Now, this is the reason why I've told you, brothers, that we are 1st century Orthodox Christians. We believe in this stuff going all the way to the time of the apostles, okay, which the book of Revelation was written by the apostle John, okay, in the Isle of Patmos. There's a reason why we say this, because many of these things that were brought in after the departure of the apostles. Okay, this is even alluded to by Paul himself. In fact, let me go ahead and get that. Okay, where Paul talks about this. Christians will fight. Some people don't even think about what the origin of some of these things. And what's funny, what's crazy is this, is that if these holidays, and I've been in the Christian church when so-called Valentine's Day falls like on the Sunday, it's like another Mother's Day. It's like another day for the wives. Those are the people that like get overly honored on that day. I forgot. It was one time. It was crazy. It was crazy. In fact, that particular day, that it was I don't know if it was that weekend or if it fell on that day, but the pastor at the time, this is years ago, maybe even a couple of decades ago, and this is when I learned about the different Greek words of love. Okay, ended up getting what's called Vine's expository dictionary not soon after that. Okay, so that's when I learned about the different types of love. Okay, and how we say love in English is very this very not, it doesn't have particular meaning. People throw the word love around everywhere because we don't have another way to use another word, other than love. Love, oh, I love my kids. Oh, I love my husband. Oh, I love my job. Oh, I love God. I really love my friend, or what. Like, love is thrown away so much, but the higher form of love, or the greatest word for love, is agape. But that's not known and understood in our time, especially as English speakers. And so you got to dig deeper into how some of these things were used. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to go into the book of Acts, okay? And just like I was saying with the issue in regards to, and I got to share the tab. Okay, so we go to the book of Acts, chapter 20, and this is what I was referring to as how all these things were entered in later. So when you go into now, Paul was getting ready to go uh, to is a farewell to Ephesus when you get to Acts chapter 20. Now, when you go down, and we're going to kind of like we're going to go to verse 22 just to get the what he was saying. So in verse 22 he says, "And now behold, I am bound in the spirit unto Jerusalem, not knowing the things that shall befall me there." Now, because he was going to Jerusalem. As you know, Jerusalem was a very tough place for early believers, particularly the apostles, and many of the elders that were around at that time. There was a great persecution where many of them fled in the early parts of the book of Acts as you're reading, which included Paul persecuting these same people, who he later, of course, became a believer. And of course, when he became a believer, he then became an enemy also of those during that time, right? So it says, "Save that the Holy Ghost witness in every city, saying that bonds and afflictions abide me. But none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself, so I might finish my course with joy and the ministry which I have received of the Lord Jesus to testify the gospel of the grace of God. And now, behold, I know that ye all, among whom I have gone preaching the kingdom of God, shall see my face no more. Wherefore I take you to record this day that I am pure from the blood of all men. For I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of God. Take heed, therefore, among yourselves and to all the flock over which the Holy Ghost had made you overseers, to feed the church of God, which he had purchased with his own blood. For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock. Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things to draw away disciples after them. Therefore watch and remember that by the space of 3 years I cease not to warn everyone night and day with tears." Okay, so you see there that Paul had warned them of what was going to come, which these false doctrines will come, which includes the Saint Valentine's. So Valentine's Day didn't even have its origin, unlike some other holidays like New Year's, and Christmas. This had its origin in the old Orthodox Christian church of that time. Okay, and it's very important that we understand that. Okay, so we see that this is a problem. Okay, and this was brought in by people that were considered Christians. Okay, they brought in this whole thing of Valentine's Day, unfortunately. Okay, just like Paul had warned that among these people would enter in these people teaching perverse things, and here we are. And this is something that's now become a tradition since that time. And if you talk to many Christians, they will see nothing wrong with it. They say, "Why get on this? It's about love." That's what they'll start doing. They start telling you love, love, love. Okay. You Protestant? No, we're not Protestant. Okay. We're first century Orthodox Christians. Okay. The originalists. We believe in the teachings that were found in the scriptures, the teachings of Yahushua Hamashiach and his apostles. Okay. And that's the reason why we have to make it be known that we're not part of any other set of beliefs. Unfortunately, a lot of people have overlapped these beliefs. A lot of stuff came later. There's no such thing as a Protestant. Okay. If you go back to the time of the apostles, there was no such thing as a Protestant. They were only known as believers. Okay. Believers of Yahushua. Okay. Whom back then as Christians first at Antioch. Okay. Protestant church, the Protestant that referring to, they have all these idolatrous holidays. They have white Jesus, Cesare Borgia, as the image of the Messiah. They also enslaved the children of Israel. They massacred the children of Israel. Okay, they did very debaucherous, they're the original Epsteins. The Protestants were the Protestants and the Catholics from Europe were the original Epstein Island. Okay, so why would we want to hold on to their belief system? I'm coming out of the book, the volume of the book. I'm coming out the words of the Apostle Paul. Huh? So Protestant, nah, never that. But thanks you for joining us. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Um, yeah, so that's kind of where that kind of came in. And let me go back to the tab with the Saint Valentine, whom this wicked tradition was named after. Um, and of course, you know how they're gonna have him look. you know. Now, let's be honest. By that time, let's be honest, by the time you get into this period of the quote unquote Christian church, you started having, a lot of these Edomites coming in. That's just what it is. They already were coming in and they were influencing and bringing in these other things. And then you also had wicked Israelites who were in idolatry who started merging these things. And there was a lot of compromising among the leadership. Instead of holding firm to what was taught before, they started compromising. And many of these men compromised through their woman. Let's keep it real. Many of these compromises among men come through trying to serve the woman. Okay. And we've seen that even amongst us, where these henpecked men will bring in these things, or or their woman will convince them that certain things need to be done away with. Certain aspects of the actual doctrine need to be reformatted according to the ways of this world, especially according to the ways of, feminist ideals. And then you bring in the things like, Valentine's, huh? And now, and that's how these things are promoted, because these women, they want this. You're looked at as evil because you didn't call your woman and tell her, wish her a Valentine's Day, or you didn't take her somewhere. She goes and she sees another woman, getting a dinner and roses and chocolate and gifts or whatever, and she looking at you crazy because you don't want to celebrate it. You know what I'm saying? This is where you got to stand on business as a man. And I'm telling you this: a lot of you brothers that are married, even these women that call themselves sisters, a lot of them, they still like these holidays. They even resent you for not even celebrating them or acknowledging them. Okay? You still got to stand 10 toes down. Okay? So that's why I got to do this lesson, because some of y'all probably had reservations, man. If you're listening live and you got some reservations, man, you need to go ahead and cancel that. You know what I'm saying? Let her be mad. Let her stay mad. Huh? Because a lot of you guys are celebrating these days, you don't even believe in them, bro. You're only doing it for the woman. Just like Adam did, he went and ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil for the woman. Same concept, man. Same play, just a different court. Same play, just a different field. Okay. Okay. So you see here, this is third century. He was born 225 AD to 270 AD in Italy. Okay, died in Rome. And then if you look at venerated in what? The Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, the Anglican Communion, which Anglicans are Protestants, right? Lutheranism, that's also Protestant. You got the Eastern Orthodox. Okay, you see they had different dates, as you saw. Okay, and where was this? That's why I say these people to do this. You ask them where the apostles institute this. Where? Doesn't exist. Okay, this is what you know as man traditions of men. Okay, in fact, let's get another precept. Okay, let me see if we can find it. It should be in Matthew. Okay, so Matthew. Yeah, yeah, that's what it is right here. And there's one in Mark. In fact, I'll bring this and I'll go to the one in Mark. This is Matthew chapter 15, verse 3. As you see here, it's red letter. But he answered and said unto him, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? So when you have a man-made tradition, it automatically goes against the commandment of God. Thou shalt not have any other gods before thee. Thou shalt worship the Lord your God. You know, they, but yet when they add these things, it causes you to worship an idol, a dead man. You're commemorating something that even that the Most High did not institute for you to remember. Okay, so that's a problem. It's a major problem. So we have to be very mindful of these things when these holidays come up. Now, when we go into Mark 7, this is Mark 7, Mark chapter 7, verse 8. For laying aside the commandment of God, ye hold the tradition of men. Okay, we'll just go down to verse 9. And he said unto them, full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your tradition. Okay, and that's a problem. We cannot be like that. This is the truth about Valentine's Day. It's idolatry. Okay, don't let no woman put you up to this. I know you might got some clown out there saying, man, they don't like women over there. Man, they got bitterness against women. Meanwhile, he got to take his woman out on a date. Mm-hmm. You got to take his ungrateful woman, his idolatrous woman who got him falling out, falling out the faith, not staying on track. This is what's going on with people in the Israelite community. How much more the Christian church is already doing it? You see, we went over the different places that already commemorate and recognize it. So they're going to do that. Right. And this is why sometimes a lot of relationships get strained, because you have a man standing on business, on the Father's business, and then a woman sees him standing on Satan's business. And can two walk together except they be agreed? A lot of times these type of holiday seasons are a test of your relationship, and it really can test you and it tests that woman. Okay, because if you're doing right, you're providing, you're protecting, you're leading, that can be thrown away, all because in the eyes of many women, wicked women especially, right? If you don't do these things like Valentine's, all of a sudden she forgets about that. She forgets that you paid rent, car note, insurance. She forgets that you worked overtime, you hustled and bustled, made sure everything was good. All of a sudden you got to do this thing as well to prove your love. It's not love. The love of God cannot be recognized through the commandments of men. I'm saying again, the love of God cannot be recognized through the commandments of men. Okay? Love has to maintain integrity with the Most High's will, with the Most High's commandments. Okay? The action in of itself has to be in line with the Most High for it to even qualify in that action towards love. And this is a very, interesting thing for people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and this is one of the dynamics. The same actions can occur, and one could be hate, one could be love. One could be done out of love. I'm gonna give you an example, right? If a man takes the life of another man, you still have that action may be viewed the same, but the motive behind it could be different. The motive of taking someone's life could be done out of love. Not love for that person, but maybe that person is maybe at the time about to harm a person, has harmed a person, and qualified under that as being eligible for, being deleted. Okay. We see this with, in the book of Judges, right? When you go into the book of Judges, you see that the children of Israel were falling into these various captivities when they fell into idolatry in the land. This, of course, before the time of the kings. And there would be an oppressor, and then that oppressor would, of course, oppress the children of Israel, and then the Most High would raise up a deliverer, and the deliverer will take out the oppressor. It's still technically killing, but one was done out of love. Let's look at one that's done out of hate or envy. Cain and Abel. Cain killed a man, killed his brother. Why? Not out of love, out of envy, out of hatred and envy. He did it. Okay. So love has to have integrity in accordance to God's will and purpose. It can't just be an action done in excitation. Why am I saying that? Because even within the Western world, you could have two people that people say love each other, but the love is adultery. To the outsider or to them, they feel that their love is valid, but the Most High views their quote unquote relationship and what they perceive to be love as adultery. Meaning you have an honorable marriage and a dishonorable marriage, or you could say union. Okay. So an honorable union and a dishonorable union. Both of them look the same. Both of them can literally look exactly the same to the naked eye. But to the Most High, it's different. It's not the same. And people try and overlap these type of things a lot of Okay, sorry about that. There's actually a storm in the Houston area right now. So I guess it kicked me off. I don't know how long we'll be able to last on this. I think it's supposed to rain pretty heavily till 8 o'clock. So it actually kind of felt it coming, and then the power kind of slipped in and out just for like a couple of seconds, and I think it was enough to knock us off the stream. But we're back on. Hopefully, we'll still be good to go. Okay, so I think we got the example, of course, about love and how the same actions can be taken, but behind it has to be the integrity of what love is, right? So hopefully that kind of helps with your understanding. Now, I think what I'm gonna do is this is actually a good one. This is actually a very good one. Let me actually find the precept actually on this, because actually I think the person brought it out. I'm gonna have to refresh this one real quick, and we're gonna get into it. Let me go ahead and okay. So let me see if I can pull up the. Don't know if it'll show up. Just give me a moment. Okay, I know exactly what to do. Okay, so y'all should see something. Okay, here. So now it's going to help it. Okay, so now if you see here, there's a video. This is actually from, let's see, it's on site. Okay, and he says, uh, now listen to what this woman says. Okay, and this is an important concept about what people think love is, or how love can be expanded further than what it really needs to be in regards to how people look at it. You know, in this case, this is a woman, right? So she's married. This is what she's going to say about her situation. So let me see if I can okay, here it is. So I'm unmuting it.
Take care of you, the kids, and the household, but has no ambition.
So she says she has a man that takes care of her, the kid, all the bills, takes care of the kids and the household, but he says he lacks ambition. Think about that. A man that's paying the bills, taking care of her and the kids, paying all the bills, but she has a problem because he lacks ambition. Okay, this is where greed comes into play. Okay, now listen to what the exchange is back and forth. I'm going to pause it for the sake of not having any issues with copyright. This is pretty much fair use right now, so we're just using this to learn a little bit more about this subject.
Worse than with.
When you say take care of, what do you mean?
He pays all the bills. He take care of the kids. He step in.
How he do that with no ambition?
No, he got money. I want more.
You know what?
And he's complacent.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the year when the job market is cooked, when the housing market is cooked, when people are walking away from their children, you got.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hold up. Did she say walking away from their children? Haven't I been telling y'all that? I've been saying that for years. I said people are going to be abandoning their children. Okay? Abandoning their children.
Somebody at home that is paying your bills. He is taking care of you and he is taking care of your kids, and you are figuring out, should I leave him? Are you cool?
Unfortunately, for a lot of men, there are so many women telling them you have to be more ambitious. And it's because they want the ambition to look like what they want it to look like. But his ambition is waking up every day and going to work, waking up every day and showing up for my children, showing up for my home. Like, that's just as ambitious. You know how ambitious you have to be when you are going through depression. Your girl is telling you you need to do more, and then you don't feel like you're good enough, but she don't know the mental and emotional and spiritual battles that you have and how you still trying to show up for your home. That's ambition, baby. Take a moment. Read.
Come on. Yo, she was spitting. Yo, give it up to her. She was spitting. Yeah. Yeah, she knew what she was talking about. Yeah, because men, you know, if you're a provider, you can't put your feelings above, you know, the purpose of providing for your family. You could be going through it, but you still got to go to work. You still got to pick up an extra shift. You still got to hit the road. Why? Because you're obligated to take care of your family, and you know that it's primarily on you. Now, this is where a woman is supposed to step in and be a help, an aid, a support to her man, to encourage him, to make his life easier when he gets back home, to make him know that he is appreciated. And many of these women don't see that as a form of love. They don't see that these men are doing this and that's a form of love. To her, him doing more is going to show he really loves her. Because if he really loves her, what? Hold on, bro. I don't even know if this will be what's it called. Yo, there's a song by Tyler, the singer from South Africa. She got a song, and in the chorus she says, "If you say you love me, put me in Chanel." That's what she wants. She wants Chanel. She been listening to too much Tyler, man. Tyler said, "If you say you love me, put me in Chanel." That's what I'm thinking she's looking for.
I think it's 1 Timothy 5:8. Because what it talks about is a man who neglects his home is the same as a man who denies his faith. This man is taking care of his home.
Well, let's go ahead and get that. This is 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. But if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Yep. Worse than infidel. Basically, you know, we are zero tolerance on that. The only way a brother cannot do that is if for some reason he's in between jobs, he's looking for another. Like if we know a brother, you know, when you get to know brothers, you know that they're ambitious, you know that they're not lazy, you know that they are willing to work, right? But we've actually met two guys that came in among us over the last few years. And these guys had zero ambition, no desire. Now, one of them, he didn't have any kids, but he had no desire to even take care of himself. He was living off of his mom, and this guy was in his late 20s. It was absolutely pitiful. In fact, let me tell you this. When we met these guys, me and the brother Yawasop were preaching, and we met these guys. And, you know, we ended up baptizing both of these guys. Talking to them about what they were doing with their lives and whether or not they're working and why they did not want to work, it was scary. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. That's where it makes sense. It says they're worse than an infidel. They're worse than a non-believer. They've denied the faith. Even bad men go out and work. We're talking about men that are, doing bad things in the world. When you meet people like that, that's a whole nother ball game, bro, because the energy on these men that lack the willingness, and one of these guys had a son in the same city and refused to work, was putting all of it on his woman, says he didn't need the work, that God was taking care of him, and he knows God's going to take care of his child, and he doesn't need the work. And bruh, when I'm telling you, that energy is very satanic, because my old man used to always say, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Now, the scriptures also says, which, he's been saying this when I was a kid, but later on, as I became a believer, read the Apocrypha, tells you that, the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Much idleness teaches much wickedness. So how's a man not engaged in some form of a pursuit of some kind of a passion, ambitious or something, or provision? What this woman is talking about is different. She's actually trying to make his lack of what she perceives to be ambition bad. You know what she's looking at? She's looking at these guys that are out here hustling and busting, some of these scammers. JT Pocket Watcher shows these guys living these lavish lifestyles, making these people sign up for all these different courses, basically, setting them up, owe me the Hellcat type dudes that show their lifestyle. And then these women look at these people, and these men are actually getting stuff, deceptively. And you want your husband to be the same way. And you're doing this comparison thing where you feel like your life is not good enough and your life should be quote unquote better or like another woman. And that's really just driven by envy. Okay. And that's just kind of what it is. All right. So let's go ahead and go back to the tab because there's still more on this.
There is faith and grace in that. He is being provisional. He's still leading. So we have to acknowledge that, because if not, you're going to lose that. Like that's a gem, baby.
I make my own money. I make more than him.
Ooh.
Right?
And you said he pays
Crazy.
All the bills?
Yeah.
Yo. This guy's a loser. What in the world are you doing, fam? This woman is working, make more money than her, and you're paying all the bills, and then she's on you saying you lack ambition? Yeah, bro. Any dude that gets into that situation like that, that's on you, man. That's on you. That's on you. See, here's the thing. This is cultural too. You see, in certain cultures, whenever the woman is actually making money, because there's actually nothing anti-biblical about a woman working. In fact, the Proverbs 31 woman, that woman always talk about, she made money and helped to increase her household. That's part of what made her a great woman, by the way. Okay, now you woman trying to live the soft life, living to that witch Shira 7. Okay, a real witch, by the way. Like, I called her a witch way back then. Then I came across her channel, what she was really doing was showing how to do spells and witchcraft. All you women that out here thinking like this is witchcraft. She got this guy out here working. She making him feel less than, making him feel like he's not doing enough. And she makes more money than him while he's basically running himself into the ground, into literally the ground. Because I can guarantee that man's health is bad. Dude probably has high blood pressure. Dude probably has bad cholesterol. Sugar levels is all jacked up. Dude probably is all kind of stressed out. Red bloodshot eyes. Got all kind of ailments. Okay, a former shell of himself before he met her. And see, this is what happens sometimes. This is why I think the Bible warns men about women, like throughout the Bible. Now, I know some henpecked clown is going to say that that those men were just bitter, right? And you got whole chapters in Sirach in the Apocrypha about women. Okay, warning about bad women. Not that there's not good women, but men need to be warned about bad women. And here's one of them. And quite frankly, that's on him, because really the dude is doing that because he feels less than her. And if he understood that he was above her, okay, he would not have it that way. This is why it's important for men to understand their position. You are the head of the woman, not the other way around. All this stuff, my partner, this, that, and the other, get that out of here. Okay, women like this are the reason why a lot of men are avoiding marriage, because they don't want to be in a situation where their woman is acting like this. Hey, this man is incentivized to actually really see, if a brother like this came in this situation, I'm going to tell you how I'd advise him. Okay? I'm going to tell you how I advise him. But let's go ahead and play the rest, and I'm going to get into that.
And you make more money.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you make more money than him, and I want you to know that was not done by mistake. That was a systemic thing that was put into place so that the black woman can be elevated to start looking at their men like they're not doing enough.
Come on. Yo, these, you got some women that are spitting. Now, I know these girls are going to call them pick-me's. Okay? You know, that they're going to call them pick-me's. You're a pick-me-sha.
No.
It is very intentional, the fact that you make more money.
And let me tell you something. A woman like that.
And even though your man is showing up for you.
A woman like that, the not her. I wanted to pause it with the other lady, but there is no reverse thing on Instagram. A woman like that is more prone to definitely commit adultery. I'm not saying she is, but it's heavily increased with the way she's thinking and moving, and the way she looks at her husband is definitely adultery, either already involved or right around the corner, bruh. Because what happens if he doesn't gain ambition? What you gonna do? If you ask her, you already know the answer. What is understood doesn't need to be explained. Okay. So we know what it is, man. Let me see if we can go ahead and play it. Continue.
You start looking at him for like, why can't you do more?
The fact that this man is covering the bills, even though he knows you make more, let me tell you what he's doing. This man is willing to maybe put things on pause so that you can elevate. Think about it. What you make becomes almost just yours. What you choose to do, you have the freedom to pivot and pivot and pivot. Try this, go to school, because this man is saying, I'm going to.
And that's what it is too. A lot of times these women will use a man so that way they can maneuver how they want. They can pay off certain debt. Okay. They can, it allows them to go and do certain things. Like you see, she's really takes fairly good care of herself. Look at her hair. Okay. She doesn't look stressed. She's, she has newer clothes, she's clearly not as stressed out as her man. There's no doubt about it. And what is she doing with the money? Probably going to school, making moves, updating her resume, connecting, networking with people to expand her situation. And this is what happens with a lot of women, a lot of women that are working, is that as they rise in their careers, mind you, this is a Western thing, because in previous times, many jobs, certain positions were regulated to men because of the fact that men were better producers at the end of the day when it comes to work. But with the new age of technology and administrative roles being a little bit more used or felt behind the computer, and then with different rules concerning hiring practices and payment of what women were paid or what kind of positions they could pursue, it's kind of led to this woman basically viewing themselves as equal to or greater than men. And that is consistently the energy that's pushed in the West. That's why the West is going to collapse, and it's collapsing on its own. It's doing it to itself. Nobody else is doing it. The West has done this to themselves. The Edomite elites, the Edomite populace, those that wanted to bring in Roman ideals, okay, Greco-Roman ideals. This is the outcome of it, okay, because it's unrighteous. And that's why the union that they're in, okay, is unrighteous. The one between this man and this woman, his wife, and, it is what it is, but this is for us to learn from and to seek what we can do in gaining insight into this situation, because it could be happening in your very house as well.
Sacrifice and take care of the foundational things so that you can have a choice whether or not you want to work or not. And so when you're saying that man lacked ambition, I just think it's ambition in a direction you can't recognize.
And let me tell you this. Once a woman doesn't respect you, it's very hard to gain that respect back. There is ways to do it, but this is where the counsel will come into play. Let me go ahead and read this precept, and I'm going to go into like what I would tell this man in this particular situation, right? And we're just going to assume that all the information she's saying is correct and what I would have this man do, okay? So Let's go ahead and share this tab, Ephesians chapter 5. And by the way, check out the lesson that I did a couple of years back on love. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up. And I'm going to go ahead and read this and we'll pull it up. This is Ephesians chapter 5. We'll just start at verse 31. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. Okay. Yeah, so a woman needs to reverence her husband. Let's go into that word for reverence, because I had to teach one of these Ahabians who had been, of course, married to a Jezebel and doesn't understand what it means. This is phobeo. You know what that word phobia comes? Fear. Yes, phobeo is a Greek word. The root word of phobia is fear. Okay, it's a Greco word. Okay, so fear, be afraid of, reverence. Do you think that this woman, let's go back to her. Let's see if we can pull her up. Do you think that this woman is afraid of her husband? Oh, a lot of you guys, some y'all ain't gonna like this, because y'all believe that your woman should not be afraid of you. Yes, your woman should fear you. I'm not talking about be afraid of you like you're Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees or Mike Myers, but she should be afraid of you in the instance of you being able to take things away from her, take your presence away from her. Okay, because these women, they go to work and they be afraid of their supervisor, and they still respect their supervisor. When their supervisor tells them to come back from break at a certain time, or they'll have to have a talk, you know what they do? They come back from break on time because they don't want to have that talk with their supervisor. But they still respect their supervisor. See, they can still grow to respect somebody that they fear. Isn't that funny? So why shouldn't it be you as a man? Huh? Why shouldn't it be you as the man of the house? Okay. Now, her husband, what I would tell him, first, I'm going to find out about why he is moving this way. Is it because he is scared he's not going to get another woman? See, this is where you as a brother have to, love your brother in the faith. This is part of brotherly love. View him as you would view yourself, meaning view him as someone that, how would you want to be talked to and handled in that situation? So as a brother, I'd want to know why my brother is doing this to himself. Okay. I would then also, after getting information, remind him of his position over his wife. Okay. And we'll go ahead and get this real quick. Okay. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Okay, because sometimes in the West, men have to be reminded of that. Your woman is not equal to you. Unlike what these simps say, even some of these guys said that the woman is above you. You listen to the likes of, Derek Jackson. You listen to the likes of this guy, Steve Harvey, and these other clowns. Then, yeah, they're going to tell you that the woman is above you. She's superior to you and all that, right? Lies, lies, lies. Lies from the pits of hell. Okay? Now, after we establish this man's above his woman, we're going to have to go into, letting him know that he's doing the right thing by taking care of his family. 2, I'm going to ask him about how does he feel condition wise? Are you stressed out? Have you been gaining weight? Have you been losing sleep? Okay. Have you had anxiety? Have you had to do anything to cope? Because many times men in this situation, they usually end up taking on a vice as a way to crutch from the pressure that they're under when they're under a wicked woman. Are they seeking out any vices because of this situation? Now, also, we need to know about his situation with his wife. How does your wife talk to you? How does she treat you? What does she do on a daily basis for you? Is there things she's doing daily? Or is there things she's not doing that you would like her to do? Okay. And then what he would need to do is he would need to ultimately, and of course, remember, I'm summarizing it, but he would need to make a decision on if this woman is bringing in money and y'all are part of the same family, the same house, you need to figure out what is she doing with this money. And you need to alleviate or curate the financial monthly situation and the short-term and long-term goals of the family. And she needs to agree with it. Now, I'm going to tell you this. In this situation, this man has lost his wife. His wife doesn't respect him because he clearly hasn't put his foot down. And she knows she's playing him at this point. So now when a woman knows that she has played you like for a fool, she already lost respect for you. Okay? So you're going to need to find a way to put your foot down. And here's the thing, and this is one of the big issues with a lot of these men. They're scared of the woman leaving, filing for divorce, and putting him on child support, taking the house, all that stuff. In his situation, and this is where legal counsel can be talked about, this is where you might need to seek legal counsel as well, in addition to spiritual counsel, because legal counsel is in part because you're in Babylon. If you legally married to this woman in Babylon and you have property, you're going to have to deal with the Babylonian court system. Okay? But if you're one of those guys that's scared to put your foot down because you're scared of losing in the court system in regards to like maybe your income, housing, whatever, then you're really not fit to be really complaining about a situation like that. And you're either going to have to deal with that. But I'm going to tell you this, men like that are not fit to be really believers. Because why do I say that? Because their woman has become their head. And because the woman has become their head, they actually are operating under the energy of Satan. And men like that are in marriages with women like this are very dangerous, because those men then become to grow envious of other brothers in the faith that are operating the right way according to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Okay? And then they began to use as tools against godly men. Okay, but like by a woman like this will influence them against godly men for certain, because a godly man is basically establishing authority over his wife and over his children. He has control over his household. Okay, and therefore their energies are going to be in conflict with one another. You know, we're speaking from, you know, what they would call an esoteric level. Okay, so that's just the reality. And quite frankly, you know, a brother that's operating like that, I would have to, and I would have to warn him about the potential of, you know, what could happen if he puts his foot down. And this is where even as brothers in the faith, and the brother in that situation, you know, he has to know that his option is not to divorce and leave his woman, of course, unless there be adultery involved. But he's going to have to put his foot down for the sake of his own salvation and for the sake of the future of his children. Another thing I would have this man do, if he has any children, you need to get DNA tests expeditiously. Got to get a DNA test. It's mandatory around these parts, especially, you know, if you have a newborn or whatever. You know, for guys that already had children before they came in, that's up to them if they want to do that and find out about, you know, be 100% sure about their situation. But I know over here, over yonder, yeah. Your brother come in talking about he got a kid and his wife pregnant and the baby's on the way. I don't want to hear nothing about that kid as far as you starting to take care of that kid after the baby comes out, until you tell me you got the DNA test and the baby's yours. Because before now I'm counseling you over you taking care of another man's kid and you don't even know it yet. Nah. Because, hey, there's one thing for that woman to play you, it's another thing for her to play the church. Because if y'all fall on times, or if y'all in need of something for that kid, and then we coming out of our pocket for a kid that was, you know, came in through adultery, then that person by extension also played the church too. Okay. So yeah, that's how we got to correct that. Now, why am I going into that? Let's go ahead and get into this tab. It's a good segue for what I just used. I don't even know what this is. So I got to refresh this because of the, in fact, I got to refresh both of these. Bear with me. I got to refresh. And I can move this all the way down because we don't need this. I got to refresh the tab after that storm had hit. So I don't know if it's going to come up. Okay, it came up. It worked. At least this one worked. Don't know what this one is. Okay, so we'll just share this tab. Now, look at this right quick. Man deletes his sons after catching his wife doing this with another man. Now, this is a true story. I actually bring up the... Oh, dang, I thought I had the story. For whatever reason, the news story is in here. Well, I'll see if I can pull it up. This is a real video. So this man, this is a video right here. You're going to see the next one. It says, Secretary of Government of Itumbiara, which is a province in Brazil, deleted his 2 children and then himself, hired a private investigator detective to monitor his wife and end up discovering her cheating. Now, I don't know if he found out the kids were also not his, but it's, maybe that's the reason why he took out those children. But he did not take out the woman. Maybe it was for her to suffer for the rest of her days. I don't know. But this is the wife. Okay. And by the way, according to the article, she's the daughter of the mayor. Okay. Within that particular province of Brazil. And this is her, this is the man, and this is the 2 boys. So I don't know if these 2 boys weren't his, but this is one of the reasons why we tell you, brothers, to get that DNA. Okay? And because you don't know how you'll react if you were deceived for many, many years. You don't know. Maybe you can prepare yourself mentally if you and go through a scenario in your mind if you felt like this could be possible, that it, and then you can know how to deal with it and walk away from the situation. But there's a lot of emotional investment, a lot of financial investment. In the way men's mind work, we're planning. Kids come into the world and we're thinking about their future. We're not thinking about them right there. Women just thinking about them being a little kid, and they think they're going to be a little kid forever. Men already know that little kid that they have is going to get older, is going to need more resources, is going to need schooling, okay, is going to need guidance, okay, is going to need potential provision, possibly an inheritance. So this is where men start thinking about life insurance policies. They start thinking about, housing, keeping your kids in the right neighborhood, the right schooling, the right people. All these things are in play in a man's mind. And a very, and it's an often thing, right? How to protect these kids, making sure their safety, which is the number 1 priority for your children, is their safety, right? So women, they're just going with the emotions. That's how they're wired. They're going with the emotions, and that's kind of how Most High balances out the household. Okay. But this man could not take whatever it is that he found out. And, it led to him, being in this situation. And let me do this. Now let's go ahead and go put back this image real quick, but hold on. I don't know where this, I don't know where this, how this story did not pop up anymore. Okay. Yeah, so here it is. I just did a quick search. And you see here, you see they're promoting it. Remember I told you, man, they're trying to put you into that's the move of that idolatry. Now, here it is. It says the Secretary of the Government of Itumbiara, okay, Dallas Naves Alves Machado, said this based on reports from February 11th to 12th of 2026. So, probably was planning who knows, he's probably planning a Valentine's thing. See, one thing with adultery in this time period, Valentine's Day actually brings out a lot of the adulterers, because a lot of these adulterers are not satisfied in their relationship, and maybe they're already pursuing another relationship, or in a relationship or pursuing one. Particularly these women, because this is a holiday for them, so they really would want on the February 14th. They really want to be with the men that they like. I'm gonna say that again. They really want to be with the men that they like more than anything, even if it's the adulterous person that they're in love with. And I say in love, no pun intended, in love, because that's how Westerners use it, right? Because remember, love has to be in line with the Most High's will, right? So if love is not in line with the Most High's will, and the woman is in adultery, therefore that is not really love. Okay, that's adultery. Because if you love, you would love your husband, not the man you're committing adultery with. Okay, what they're doing in the Greek is known as erotica. It's not agape. It's not her. It's not philandros. Loving and caring. Looking out for the best interests of your husband. Okay, so we have to get that straight. Boy, this internet is kind of slow. Oh no, I'm actually trying to I'm trying to see if I can access one of these older lessons that I did in the way back. In some years, actually. I might even put the link of it in the chat for y'all to watch. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. So I have this lesson. And by the way, this lesson was from 3 years ago. It was called Husband and Wife, What's Love Got to Do with It? So this one, the truth about Valentine's Day, what's love's got to do with it? So I highly recommend that y'all check this out. Okay. So there's the link to this is a video I did some years back. Okay. Y'all might not be able to hear me, but hopefully you can. Okay, so all right. Make sure I'm testing. Give me a moment. Testing. Let me see. I don't know. Okay, so. Oh. Okay, so it definitely worked. Yeah, I got a little message saying that the audio may have disconnected. So it looks like we're back in business. All right, so we're back in business. That is the link. Check that link out. Good lesson for y'all to understand husband and wife. What's love got to do with it? The understanding of love, the words that are used in the New Testament to get a proper understanding. Okay, so going back to the actual story, it tells you right here that he took out the two children, ages 8 and 12, before taking his own life. He was the son-in-law of the mayor of Timboria, Dion Arujo. So you see how that is. So there was something that definitely happened that made him consider what happened. And it's possible he probably could have took a paternity test. They might have had a rocky relationship. maybe took a paternity test, found out either one or both of the kids weren't his, or possibly was finding something was going on, or felt like maybe he hadn't been intimate with this woman in some time. And usually what happens is, if a woman is not intimate with her husband for some time and she's purposely withholding intimacy from her husband, there's a good chance that she's committing adultery. Okay. Because women are designed differently, to where their heart can only go to one man at a time. I mean, I'm speaking from an emotional perspective. Okay. They're not like men, that men are what you would call more polyamorous. This reason why men can have multiple wives, because our emotions are wired differently as men. And this is the reason why men having multiple wives is not a big deal to the Most High. That's why he has actual laws on how to deal with having multiple wives. Okay. So, but for women, they cannot have multiple husbands. And whenever a woman moves on to another man, the man that she moved on from will be treated differently. There'll be disrespect going on. There'll be a lack of intimacy. There'll be a lack of communication, or there'll be communication that is always conflict in communication. It's like every time you talk to her, there's some kind of conflict. It's like dramatic drama queen. All of a sudden, she doesn't understand what you're saying, or she's missing what you're saying. And then that's where it becomes at a level of what's known as disrespect. And that can give suspicion that somebody might be sleeping in your bed, like Drew Hill said. Okay. So, that's just the reality. Him and Mrs. Jones got a thing going on. And yeah, that's adultery. And that man that was in the video that she was with, okay, he crossed the line by being with a married woman. Okay. Now, it's possible he didn't know, but I have a hard, he more than likely knew, because a woman having two kids, a woman has kids, she's going to talk about her kids, and she's a high profile person in that area. Okay. So, the man who took his life and took out the life of those two kids, he also has a high position. So he's a notarized person. He's a person that's publicly known. Okay. And the very interesting thing is that they actually went to a public space. Okay. That kind of shows you how bold they were. Now, could have been they were separated, and maybe because it might have been official separation, like maybe they decided, hey, we're going to be separated. We're going to go through the divorce. And then maybe during that time he investigated, because let me tell you brother, something. Anytime a woman leaves you and y'all are together, somebody else is in the picture 99% of the time. Okay. Let me say that again. If you're with a woman, okay, if you're married to a woman, you're together, you're with the woman, and she decides she wants to take a break, she wants to leave you, okay, or y'all are legally married under the Babylonian court system, law system, and she files for divorce, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, let's keep it even, go all the way up to that, somebody else is in the picture. Women rarely leave a relationship and just go completely single, unless they're looking to live like a hot girl summer, right? So, for example, coming up in a couple of months as the summer time comes, because the reason why summer's such a big time, especially in the West, is because the school system, both public, private, and secondary school, of course, and college, right? So what happens is summertime is a time when young people who are not working a full-time job have a lot more time to be social. Even people that are working, there's a higher social life that occurs during the summertime because of the weather. Some of the festivities are going on. You have like all of these big musical festivals like Rolling Loud, Coachella, even some of these like different stars might have their own thing going on, whether it's like, a J. Cole or Travis Scott, they might have something going on in the summertime. So you have all these things going on, people traveling, especially, throughout the world. The northern hemisphere is warmer because they're in the summertime. So people going to Europe, people are going to Asia. and stuff like that, right? And so what happens is whenever you have people that are in a relationship, and in this case, we'll just say a woman, and they're tied to a marriage or a relationship, so to speak, right? Because marriage for us is not about the paperwork; it's about what the relationship is based on its actions between the two individuals. So they will see that they don't have that freedom, and then they'll break up from that person to go and live, a whore's life. Okay. So it wouldn't necessarily mean that she left the man because she's because she's dealing with one particular man. It could be she wants to have experiences with multiple people, and she knows she can't do that within the relationship, so she ends it. In other instances, it's somebody else specifically involved that they're with, and women, they don't view their adultery with the new guy as impeding the relationship with the new guy, meaning that many women, when they are in an adulterous relationship, the guy who they're in this adulterous relationship with, they don't want her. They want her, or she wants him to look at her as if she's pure. This particular man in this video is not going to trust this woman. Think about it, right? This woman lost her husband and her children through an affair, as they call in the West, or they call it entanglement, an adulterous affair. And now you think that this guy is going to stay with her after this infamy? Their relationship is done. So imagine this woman is going to go back into the market. This is the reason why you need to know about these women's past, fellas. You got to know, why is she a single mother, or what happened? Who were you with? You might start pulling up articles on some of these women. Some of these women got articles where they exed and deleted themselves. You know what I'm saying? You got to know, what's love got to do with it? This looks like adultery to me. But anybody that didn't know about her situation that was in that restaurant would say, oh, look at them, they're in love. And let me tell you something. Most people know that this type of touchy-feeliness between people in this age bracket, they know, like when been around for some decades on the earth, if you ever see two people around this age, okay, and they're like this, they're either, this is a fresh situation, I'll put it like that. It's a fresh situation when they're acting like this, fam. When they all up each other like this is a fresh situation, fam. He wasn't getting none of that. That stuff was gone. Okay? And what I mean by fresh situation, meaning it's still in the honeymoon phase. Okay, and at that age, it's either an adulterous relationship is going on, like either she's a side chick and he's, and he already has a woman, or she already has a husband and he's a side dude, whether he's also married as well. That's usually what they look like. It looks like love from a distance, but it's really adultery. Okay. Look at what this guy said. And this is for you guys that are doing this Valentine's Day stuff, bro. A lot of you guys, y'all do this Valentine's Day stuff. You think you really like this woman. This woman's really about you, but she really ain't about you. And you're going to find out that, she's not yours. It's just your turn. That's what you're going to find out. It's like this guy saying, I don't understand why men don't understand your woman ain't really your woman. Well, it depends. If she was a righteous woman, then she is your woman. She's your wife. Okay. But she's not really your woman. Okay. Women interact with men conditional and will switch whenever they feel like it. There's some truth to that. Feelings overrides the, whatever a woman stands on has nothing to do with what she says or any rule. It's her feelings would override whatever rule that she feels like she had set. Okay. Especially in this instance. As a man, you cannot stop that. It does not matter who you are. I wish men understand that. Yeah, I'll put it like this. And this is why it's important for us to talk about this, because some brothers will experience a situation of adultery in their walk. whether it's a woman that they came in with prior to the faith or a woman that they met afterwards. And one of the things that we have to understand that the world that we're currently in does not punish adultery. Women are incentivized to pursue their happiness. Okay, this is one of the components of the Western world. Is the reason why it's falling: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Feminism brought in what women perceive as their happiness, their agency, the control of their, their lives, their destiny, and therefore they prioritize themselves, even over their husband and children, to what they feel is best for them. And that means that you can end up in a situation where you're with a woman who does these type of things, and then you got to know how to handle it. Do you go as far as this man goes? You don't do that. Neither can you even delete her, even though the Bible says that's what should be done, that the two found in this adulterous relationship should be put to death. That's what the scripture says. But we're in the West. We're not in the ancient world. Okay, there's not a priest, to oversee that situation, all that, right? So we have to kind of just take it in these times. Your best bet is to separate and leave, like the Bible says. In fact, we'll go ahead and get that. Okay, give me a moment. Yeah, Yeah, we'll get that. This is trying to see if I can get to the precept. Matthew. And remember, check that link that I posted. Okay, that I posted with the lesson, husband and wife, what's love got to do with it, from a few years back. Okay, and so now we're going to go ahead and go to Matthew chapter 19. We'll start at verse 9. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery, and whoso marrieth her which is put away doth commit adultery. So in this man's situation, with this couple, that guy that she's with, he's an adulterer anyway. And it's unfortunate that the children lost their lives over the behavior of, but that's not how you handle it, right? I mean, I know society is very wicked. If you're with a woman and you were raising them for some years and you're on the birth certificate and you divorce your wife and you later find out that the kids ain't yours, you're still on the hook for child support until they're 18, until either she decides for the court to motion not for it to be on you, or the court decides to act well, which a lot of courts don't, because they're looking at the best interest of the child. And there's a whole thing with that. I might have to go into some of the history of the way the West has fallen upon itself and taken away the power of patriarchy from men. But also, if the man, the father of the biological father of the children, step up and decide to take on that role. Okay. So, it's why we have to kind of be mindful of what the world we're in is not the world of yesteryear. 97% of the time, a man is with a woman and they're together in a relationship. That woman is not a virgin. It's just a reality. And because of that, women are more likely to now pursue an extra relationship outside of the marriage because they're used to being in intimacy with various men, even before you. So a lot of times men think that they're special in that, right? But you're really not special when you're dealing with the woman, because special is rare. Special has quality that other people haven't had or experienced. There's the reason why a lot of things that are very valuable are unused. Ain't nothing like a brand new home that nobody lived in, that's yours, that you moved into, or a brand new car where you're taking off the plastic. You got the new car smell. I mean, they even try to mimic the new car smell at the at the car wash. They got scents called new car smell. Why do people want the new car smell? What's wrong with the old car smell? But yeah, it is what it is, man. And so how would I handle this situation if he was a brother in the faith, right? If that man right there that you see on screen, if he was a brother in the faith, this is what I would tell him. All right, we know now that she committed adultery. The kids ain't yours. You're legally married. I'm telling that brother, file for divorce. There is no reconciliation of the situation, because I already know that the agitation of the situation is only going to potentially make things worse. In fact, there's a story that is very similar to this, and I don't know if I'll actually be able to find it, because I did have it. In fact, let me see if I could let me see if I can find it. For whatever reason, I had seen it yesterday, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it'll dang, where is it at? There's actually a story that came up. You know what? It might have been in my email. I'm not going to bring it up. There's another adultery story very similar. Maybe I might do a lesson on it another day. I have it in my email, but I don't want to go out of my way to pull it up. What I'm going to do, however, is just give me a moment, and we're about to wrap up soon. I just seen something. So actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get away from this story, go to our messages. Let's see if I got a. Okay, I think I actually put it. It might be in my saved. Yeah, I think I'll refresh it. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Oh, let me not even play the music, because the music has Future song playing in the background. So let me mute that. Now, here's one of these guys. He's like one of these influencers, Wes Watson. Some of y'all may know who he is. Formerly locked up in California State Prison, was in the Aryan Brotherhood, all that stuff, and came out and started basically speaking a lot of motivational stuff, became a millionaire. But one of the things he has a problem with is his relationship with women. Very, very terrible track record with women, and not what you would think. He's not beating on these women. He literally, quote unquote, fall and basically super tricks on them until they use him up and they break up with him. I mean, even some of these women will have kids and he's taking care of the kids, like lacing up the woman, and these women are leaving. It's crazy. So this is his post. I happened to see it just randomly. So I was like, let me just go ahead and pull this. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Now look at this guy. Look at this woman. So this woman's walking in. This is what she's getting for Valentine's Day. And I can't play the sound because the music would be a copyright issue. But you see here, Future's solo. So she gets this box. And look at the stacks of money. She has no ring on her finger. In the West, a ring on the finger symbolizes that that's a wife. So this is technically in the West what's called a girlfriend. Okay, she got stacks of hundreds. and she's got a bag. Okay, I don't know what kind of bag that is. I'm not familiar with the, all these unless I see the actual symbol or whatever. So now she's celebrating. She's got her money. She's got her purse, and he thinks that him giving that to her is going to make the relationship better, and it doesn't. It puts him actually at a deficit, like many of these men who will celebrate so-called Valentine's. In fact, it's not uncommon for some of these men to celebrate Valentine's and find out that the woman actually has a side dude. So what these women will do in the West, and even these men, but remember, marriage is viewed through the lens of a man, even in the eyes of the Most High, because a man can have a second wife and it's not viewed as adultery, but a woman can never have a second husband. Always remember that. Now, I'm going to show you this from what I seen the other day. This is just another example, and I believe I should be able to play the audio. Yeah, I should. So, you know how some of you guys out there, and I'm gonna warn you, brothers, of a sister that tells you she has a male friend, and you're interested in her, and she hangs out with this male friend. Be very careful with that. Okay, we had a false brethren back in the day. His wife was an adulterer. After the alleged adultery, because we never could get to the bottom of the whole situation, even though information was gotten out. She came back down to his place where she stayed at with her male friend, and I had asked him, "Hey, who is this guy that your wife came down with?" And, "Oh, that's just a friend." That's one of the ways that these women get around a lot of guys that are suckers, telling you that a man that they're hanging out with is a friend. I actually seen that situation when I was in college, where a guy that I grew up with, we lived together. It was me, him, and another guy. We were three guys living in an off-campus apartment. His girl tells him, "Hey, I have some friends that I grew up with. They coming down. We should all hang out and go down to 6th Street in Austin." These guys come down, and we meet them. They come to our place. We chilling with them, and then we go down to 6th Street. It's like Saturday night. Come to find out, like a few months later, that one of those guys is a guy that she'd been sleeping with like since high school. He dude was like very popular. In fact, him and his 3 friends were all pretty popular in the city that they're from. And we're talking about pre Instagram, pre Facebook, popular. So they were popular enough to where, you would, they were on in their town. They were known in the little, what do you call it back then? In the MySpace era. Okay. So they were known in their side of the town, and girls was always trying to get at them. They do this goofy thing where they had like girlfriend applications where if girls wanted to hang out with them or be their girlfriend, they had to go to their MySpace, their website, and fill out their information and upload their pictures as to why they should date them. I'm dead serious. So when I met these guys and I see how they were, these boys were all dressed up the same, like an R&B group. They all had like the platinum FUBU jerseys on, you know what I'm saying? They Jabot jeans, Jordans, had the crispy bald fade with the waves going, tatted up, you know what I mean? And I told my boy, I'm like, "Yo, man," I'm like, these dudes, like, friends? Okay. Come to find out, dude was, one of them guys has been clapping since they were in high school. Mind you, she was like his girlfriend was like a freshman in college. So we're talking about like a continuation of a relationship from high school where she was still quote unquote friends with this guy. And, that what was going on. And mind you, and why am I saying this? Because this same friend of mine that I grew up with had bought her a necklace for Valentine's Day. Bought her a diamond necklace. Now, it wasn't super expensive, but it was like a few $100s. One of them little diamond necklaces and stuff. Like 14 karat gold, whatever, from like, K Jewelers or one of them places. Mind you, we all like in college. So, this is like really, some good money back then for him to come out a few $100s out of his own pocket for this. And while he's doing that, this woman is goes back home to her hometown and gets smashed down by this guy that she called a friend. Okay. Now, why am I saying that? I'm just trying to make sure you brothers ain't being goofies out here. Because as men, as believers, we ought to be wise and not be fools, right? I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to show you a little video, and we're going to close out this particular live stream. Now, here's a video that I saw pop up, and I'm glad I saved it. How girlfriends be with their boy best friend. Okay. In our case, how wives. We don't have boyfriends and girlfriends over here. Boyfriend and girlfriend is a Western term. So if a brother ever says he's with a woman, you better not call. If you're a brother in the faith and you're with a woman, you better not even call her a girlfriend around us, because you're not going to limit what that relationship is in the eyes of the Most High, and what it really is in regards to being in line with what the Most High's standard of what a husband and a wife is. So in this instance, this is a woman who was with her boy, her boyfriend, her boy best friend, her bestie, as they would call him, her homie, her homeboy. Oh, the guy that she tells you not to worry about, right? Let's go ahead and play it. When these women be telling you you're insecure as a man, these women will gaslight the hell out of you. A lot of these women they're smarter than a lot of you men, especially these in the world. A lot of the worldly women are smarter in a lot of ways than worldly men, because they know how to make you have to prove your own manhood by gaslighting you, telling you that you're insecure if she is hanging out with another man, or he's like a brother to me. He's my homeboy. I don't look at him that way. He's just a friend. He used to date my friend, and we still are friends. I grew up and I've known him since, elementary. He know my mama. He know he know my cousin. They use these things to try and make you feel that it's not what it could be, when they got an understanding going on behind closed doors. And these women will continue these type of relationships. So let's see what happens. This is a skit, by the way, but this is based on true stories, bro. Okay. And see, when you start having to do boundaries like that, bro, your relationship is practically like done or on the rocks. If you got to tell your woman that to not touch or do anything with another man, if that has to come out of your mouth, fam, the spirit of jealousy is upon thee. You about to crash out. You about to crash out, fam. Spirit of jealousy about to take over you. It might be a double homie. It might be double homie out there, fam. Tell you, this is how these stories you be seeing on TV, on the news be happening, bro. This be like the before. They're gonna tell you she was a good woman. She was a good daughter. She was the life of the party. I don't know how anybody could do this to her. And then you're gonna have those Ahabians, okay, those matriarchal simps, okay, saying, man, hey man, dude, man, he was a simp, man. He should have moved on. He was a simp. Man, players get chose. Man, why would he do that? He could move on. And the woman gonna be there like, why he do that? She just wasn't happy with him. That's the reason why she wasn't happy with him to begin with. That's why she was with Darius. Yep. I'm telling you, I see it in the comments. Okay. And women really be doing this. Listen, bro. Any man, any of you guys that have been on this side and seen this side of a treacherous woman playing her man, those guys are forever scarred. When these women get that phone call from their man, checking in on them, seeing how they're doing. Some of these guys even tell them, I love you. Hope everything's going well, leaving messages. And the side dude is seeing it. And then they getting right back to the business of the action. Sometimes these women are, talking to the guy while being intimate with the side dude, bro. This is the wickedness that's going on, and this is normalized. Okay, this is considered funny. Now, mind you, this is a skit, but it's not that it doesn't really happen in real life, and they're basing it off of probably their own personal experiences. Okay. And when you get overprotective like this, women will tell you that, oh, I like my man to be overprotected. He all about me, bro. That's cap. This is insecurity to them. It reduces their attraction to you, and they're going to be quicker to leave you or do you dirty or really disrespect you because they really want you to leave. A lot of times a woman will start disrespecting their man because really they want him to end the relationship or say, hey, let's not talk anymore. And then she can go and feel more free without guilt to do what she's already been doing. And this is how that child ends up being the side dudes. Like Maury Povich said, you are not the father. This is how it happened. It wasn't just them meeting up. It wasn't her just going somewhere and just sleeping with some random dude. No, it was a guy that she knew, talking to. The guy knows about you. Okay. And she's in a relationship with you, living with you. You take care. You taking her out to dinner. You taking her out everywhere, trips, all that stuff. And while she got this side dude. That's the reason why I tell you, brothers, around here, it's mandatory. DNA test mandatory. It's Mando. Any you sisters pop up talking about you pregnant? Mando. It's Mando. That's just what it is. Because for the sake of conscience, it's good for you too. Because at least the brother knows this child's yours, his. So that way, if the brother neglects taking care of his kid and we get on him, we know it's the brother's kid. We can say, hey, what are you doing? You're not, we're being told you're not looking after your kid. We're being told you're not willing to, make sure your kid is straight. We can actually get on him because we know for a fact that it's actually his kid. Yeah, we have to do that today. Yes, there's liberty within the Church of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach for us to add that thing, and it's not something that's going to be a burden over here. Okay, we're doing it for the sake of peace more than anything. It's actually the sake of peace and unity amongst us. Okay, to do that, and it's because of this region, because this is what be happening. And some of you guys, if you end up a situation where you're the side dude in a situation, and you end up having to take care of a kid that you're in trouble too. Yeah, you're in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Be careful how you're moving out here. Okay, be careful listening to the ways of this world, such with this Valentine's Day, and go ahead and shut it down. Storm is still brewing. I don't want it to shut down the stream again. And hopefully we'll continue this on another day. But again, I want to give all glory and praises to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We do so in the name of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. Grace and mercy be bound to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom.